Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're heading back to the 1840s
Okay.
to New York.
All right.
We're going to uncover the story of Andreas Hall.
Interesting.
This guy,
Fair.
he was a real piece of work, let me tell you.
Oh, really?
Crimes ranging from arson,
Wow.
burglary,
Oh.
to murder.
Huh.
And our guide for all of this is going to be his Wikipedia entry.
That's interesting.
Which in and of itself is kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah.
It gives us a glimpse into how history remembers him, right?
Yeah, it's like looking through a little window.
Exactly.
A snapshot.
So are you ready to unpack all of this?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
All right. So our mission here is to go beyond just, listing the crimes, right? We want to figure out the why.
The big question. Always.
Always the big question.
Yeah.
What led him down this path? You know, what can we learn from this story?
I think figuring out the why is
right.
sometimes even more important than
the why.
Just focusing on the crimes themselves.
So let's get started with what we know.
All right.
So Andreas Hall was born around 1824 in Petersburg, New York.
All right.
Details about his early life are pretty scarce.
Interesting.
Which kind of adds a layer of mystery to this whole thing, right?
It makes you wonder, like, what was Petersburg like?
Right.
Back then.
Exactly.
So,
like, what was the social situation?
Social and economic conditions.
Yes. What was his childhood like, maybe?
Yeah, how did that shape him?
Exactly. But here's what we do know.
Okay.
From a young age, Hall was already stealing.
Okay.
And often from people close to him.
Wow.
Like family, friends.
So, like, close relationships already showing those red flags.
Red flags popping up.
Yeah.
He also had a drinking problem.
So
we're seeing these early warning signs, right?
It's a classic pattern, isn't it? I mean, this early antisocial behavior, particularly towards people he should have been closest to, suggests kind of this disregard for societal norms, you know?
Yeah.
Lack of impulse control, maybe.
And this is where things get interesting.
Okay.
In his later confession, Hall claimed that he first considered killing someone when he was 16 years old, and the motive, robbery.
Wow.
That just sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
But then there's this twist. For a few years during his late teens, he seemingly turns his life around.
Really?
Yeah.
So like a period of reform or?
It was like this period of religious reawakening.
Oh, wow.
He lived, what a lot of people considered a morally upright life.
Interesting.
Time.
Huh. It makes you think about like that internal struggle.
Right, this push and pull between good and bad.
Exactly. Precisely.
Right.
It speaks to that complexity of human nature.
Yeah.
You know, even someone capable of considering murder can
want to change.
Yearn for redemption, you know.
Right.
But it also makes you wonder, what caused that change, you know?
Right. Was it a genuine thing?
Was it really a change in him?
Or was it just external pressures?
Yeah. Or was it just, circumstances or something like that?
Yeah.
We may never know.
Right. Unfortunately, we may never know for sure.
Yeah.
What we do know is that his good behavior didn't last.
Oh, no.
He slipped back
into
criminal activity.
His old ways.
Yeah.
And it seems like the urge to kill only got worse.
Right.
During this,
Yeah. So it's like.
Makes you consider like what factors, what caused this relapse, you know?
Right.
Could have been lack of support. It's basically just like the allure of easy money.
Right.
Or maybe something deeper, you know?
Right. Like a psychological predisposition.
A psychological thing? Yeah.
We're not really aware of.
Yeah.
It's a question worth considering, I think. Now, before we get to like the murders that ultimately led to his conviction, I want to talk about an incident from 1847.
Okay.
Hall was traveling with a young man named Franklin Brown.
Okay.
And they got into an argument near Troy.
Oh, okay.
Things escalated. And Hall ended up killing Brown.
Wow.
And stealing everything he had.
Oh, so he...
Yeah, so to cover his tracks, he hid the body in the bushes.
Okay.
And just vanished.
Oh, wow. This is significant.
That's a turning point, I think.
Because it marks a clear escalation.
Right, from petty theft to, actually taking a life.
And it was premeditated, right?
It seemed like he had to think about it.
He had to plan it out, yeah.
How to dispose of the body, you know?
Get away with it, yeah.
Right, get away with it.
Shows a growing...
Your comfort.
Comfort, yeah.
With violence.
Which is disturbing.
Yeah.
Very unsettling.
So imagine this.
Yeah.
A year goes by.
Wow.
And the murder remains unsolved.
He got away with it.
He got away with it.
Completely.
He's free to live his life as if nothing happened.
It's fascinating how the mind grapples with that.
The guilt.
The constant fear. You know, the deception.
And according to some accounts, he even went through periods of intense guilt.
Wow.
Even contemplated suicide.
Really?
Yeah.
So he was
really wrestling with it.
Wrestling with his conscience.
Yeah. And some accounts say that he was talked out of suicide by his sister.
Wow.
And he even got married during this time.
Oh, so he was trying to build a normal life.
Right. Bury the past. Right.
Bury it, yeah.
Under this, like, veneer of normalcy.
It almost sounds like a story from back then, you know? Like a Petty Dreadful or something.
Right. That tension.
The tension. This darkness.
You're lurking underneath.
Yeah, lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And sadly, that shadow wasn't going away.
It never really does it?
So this brings us to the crimes that ultimately sealed his fate. In July of 1848.
Okay.
He targeted an elderly couple, Noah and Amy Smith, who lived on a remote farmhouse near Petersburg.
All right.
Hall had done some work for them previously.
Oh, so he knew them.
Yeah, so he knew. They kept a lot of money and valuables hidden away.
He was familiar with the place.
About $1,500 in silver.
Wow. Knowing them adds another layer to this, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Like it suggests he wasn't just
acting random.
It was premeditated.
It was a plan.
He chose these people.
Chose them.
Specifically.
Based on what he knew.
Yes. Because he knew their situation. He knew they were vulnerable.
And their vulnerability.
He had a plan under the cover of darkness.
Oh, wow.
On July 1st.
Okay.
Hall went to the Smiths' farmhouse.
Okay.
And spun a tale about their cattle having gotten loose.
A ruse.
Yeah, he lured Noah out.
Oh, so he could...
to check on the animals.
Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then, as Noah was distracted, Hall used a metal spike.
Oh.
And the details are pretty gruesome.
Oh, gosh.
He attacked Noah with the spike, killed him instantly.
Oh, wow.
Then he went back to the house
Okay.
and pretended that he needed tools.
Oh, so he tricked her.
Tricked Amy into giving him an axe and a glass of water.
Oh, my goodness.
And then he used the axe to attack Amy.
God.
Struck her repeatedly.
That's awful.
The crime scene reports are chilling. They describe the extent of their wounds.
Oh, gosh.
The sheer amount of blood.
It really paints a picture of the violence, right?
It's hard to even imagine the terror they must felt.
It's just horrifying.
It's horrifying. After the murders, Hall stole approximately $2,000 in cash and valuables and fled the scene.
Wow.
And what's really striking is that Amy Smith was the aunt of a New York State representative.
Wow. So this is this adds a whole other level to it.
It's not just a robbery homicide.
It's not just some isolated thing. Right. It has like political repercussions. Potentially.
It's like it underscores how even back then seemingly isolated events can ripple outward. You know?
Yeah, touch on people in power.
Right.
It's like something out of, you know...
Yeah, a modern-day true crime novel.
It is. It really is.
But this happened almost 200 years ago.
It makes you realize, like, some themes are just timeless.
Like violence, greed, the thirst for power.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're timeless.
Yeah, some aspects of human nature seem to stay the same.
So what do you think was going through Hall's mind?
That's a great question.
At this point.
Yeah.
Was it just the money?
Right.
Or was there something...
Or was there something more...
More sinister?
Something darker?
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the records that we have, you know.
Yeah.
There's no concrete evidence of anything beyond just the money.
Right.
But you got to consider, like, his history.
Yeah, the escalating violence.
The impulsivity makes you wonder if there wasn't something else there.
Right.
Like maybe a need for power or a sense of Control, yeah. Or, even a satisfaction from the act itself.
It's disturbing, but
it is, yeah.
It's the reality of the case.
It is the reality.
No. A week after the Smith murders, Hall was apprehended in Troy.
Okay.
He wasn't alone. He was arrested with a peddler.
Okay.
Who was later cleared of any involvement.
Right.
Hall initially maintained his innocence.
Okay.
But that stance didn't last.
Oh.
Things are about to take a fascinating turn.
I'm intrigued. Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. It kind of shows how confessions played a big role.
Okay.
Especially back then,
Right, because forensic science
wasn't
really a thing yet.
Yeah, it was in its early stages.
Right.
So
he confesses to everything.
He does. He admits to everything.
Just spills it all out.
Just lays it all out there.
Wow. I can only imagine what that must have been like.
Oh, it was a bombshell.
Yeah.
For everyone involved.
Just to be there,
Think about it, He was
living with this secret.
Living with it, claiming he was innocent.
Right.
But knowing the truth.
Wow.
It's like the weight of it all just became too much.
And he doesn't just confess to the Smith murders, does he?
He doesn't, no.
Okay.
He also admits to killing Franklin Brown.
Oh, wow.
A year earlier.
The one that he was never even suspected for.
Never even a suspect, yeah.
Wow.
It makes you think about the psychology of it, right?
Right, of
these delayed confessions.
What is it? Is it atonement?
Is it a way to find some peace before, facing the end?
Right, or is it I don't know, notoriety?
Or is it wanting to be...
Maybe he wants to be remembered.
Remembered, yeah. Have his name etched in history.
Even if it's for all the wrong reasons.
Even if it's infamous.
Yeah, right. And his trial was already this media event.
It was huge.
Yeah.
The papers were filled with details.
Yeah. It's like our fascination with true crime today, right?
Exactly. It's a constant, I think.
Yeah.
This fascination with...
the dark side of human nature.
Trying to understand it.
So it wasn't just Hall's trial, though, right?
There wasn't, no.
He was being tried alongside another murderer.
Barney O'Donnell?
Barney O'Donnell, who had killed a child?
Yeah, convicted of killing a child.
So imagine, two high profile.
Oh, the atmosphere must have been intense.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Think about the impact on the local community, too, right?
Oh, yeah.
To have, these horrific...
Just to have that unfold around you.
Yeah.
That darkness.
It's a reminder that,
even back then.
Even before social media.
Before, instant news. These events could really shake a community.
But so it wasn't just a verbal confession, right?
No, it wasn't.
He drew a diagram.
He did. He drew a diagram of
where he buried the body.
Where he'd buried Franklin Brown.
And they found it.
They did.
Based on his drawing.
They found his remains.
Wow.
Just imagine the closure for Brown's family after a year.
Right.
It's really attesting to the power of confession, It also highlights the limitations back then. It does. It makes you think about all the cases that might have gone unsolved, leaving families with no answers.
Yeah.
It's pretty sobering
when
you think about it. So both Hall and O'Donnell were found guilty and sentenced to death.
Of course.
And their execution was a public hanging.
Public hanging?
In Troy.
Wow.
On March 15th, 1849.
It's a different world back then.
Public executions.
Public executions, yeah.
It's just so different from how we see things today.
It really is.
It was a deterrent.
A deterrent and a spectacle,
Yeah.
It drew huge crowds.
It's hard to fathom that today.
It's hard to even imagine it.
Yeah, turning an execution into an event.
It speaks to how, norms and values change.
It really does, yeah.
Over time.
The way we view capital punishment now.
Yeah.
The idea of a public execution.
Right. It's
considered barbaric.
And their accounts of Hall's last words.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Nothing too dramatic.
Okay.
Just farewells to his family.
Simple.
Huh.
And friends.
There's something kind of poignant about that, facing death.
Right.
And the thing that matters is those connections, those Simon connections, expressions of love.
Right.
Regret, maybe.
It's a reminder that even someone like him, who did these terrible things,
is still human.
Right.
With emotion.
With relationships,
Relationships.
It highlights the cost of these crimes, too.
It does, for everyone involved.
For the victims.
Families.
Yeah, their families.
The perpetrator.
Right. Their families as well.
Lives are changed forever.
It really is tragic all around.
Yeah.
So with everything that we've learned about Andreas Hall, how is he remembered today?
That's a good question.
Is he just a forgotten name?
A footnote?
Yeah.
Or is there something more?
It's amazing that, we're getting all of this from Wikipedia.
I know. It makes you think.
Yeah.
About all the other stories out there just waiting to be found.
All the history. Just waiting
it's incredible.
to be rediscovered.
Yeah. And Hall's story, as dark as it is, it gives us a chance to,
reflect.
Think about some bigger issues.
What does that all mean?
Right.
Right. What can we take away?
Yeah. What are the
smallest takeaways?
I think for me, it shows that even with these terrible acts, you can still learn something,
Yeah.
Try to understand what makes people do these things.
It's not about, condoning it, right? No, not at all. It's about trying to
understand it.
Grasp the forces at play,
And his story raises questions that are still relevant today.
Right, like good and evil.
Yeah.
How much does your environment matter?
Right.
Mental health.
These are all things we're dealing with.
Still dealing with today, yeah.
It's a reminder that these weren't just, characters in a story.
Yeah. These were real people.
Real people with real lives.
Yeah, they made choices.
Yeah.
And those choices had consequences.
It's heavy stuff.
It really is.
But we can learn from it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
By studying cases like this, we can maybe prevent future tragedies.
Right. What if Hall had
what if he'd had
more support,
help?
Would it have been different?
We can't know for sure, but it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of
addressing these issues,
of poverty, addiction,
mental health,
the root causes.
The root causes of crime.
Yeah. So before we go,
I
want to leave everyone with one thought.
Right.
Imagine you could go back in time.
Okay.
And ask Andreas Hall just one question.
Just one question, huh?
What would it be?
That is a good question.
It makes you think, right?
It really does.
It's about sparking that curiosity.
Yeah, getting people to dig deeper.
Yeah.
Think for themselves.
Even after the episode is over.
Keep asking those questions.
So thanks for joining us on this journey back in time.
It's been a ride.
It's been fascinating, to say the least.
Absolutely.
And remember, history is full of these stories waiting to be unearthed.
Uncovered, explored.
So until next time, keep exploring.